Welcome to the Black Marriage and Family Therapy Matters podcast, where we connect Black families to Black therapists. On Mondays, you will receive direct therapeutic support from a licensed therapist or professional connected to the mental health field. They will provide therapeutic and educational resources to help you have a healthier relationship with your family members. On Wednesdays, you will receive direct tips and resources to help you get through the stuck places that prevent many people from having the relationships with their families and significant others that they desire. On Fridays, we want you to visit our blog, which can be found at www.blackmftmatters.com, which holds additional resources and action steps that you can begin implementing immediately to improve your relationships. This is necessary because we love that you are listening, but we want you to take action too. While you are there, please grab our A to Z Relationship Bootcamp and be provided with the skills you need to immediately communicate better within your relationships. Please note that while the therapists on podcasts are therapists, they do not serve as your therapist unless you have signed a confidential agreement with them confirming that relationship. Thank you in advance for listening, and we hope you are inspired. All right, it's time for the show. Here is your host, Dr. Connie Omari.
Hey, and welcome to the Black Marriage and Family Therapy Matters podcast, where we connect Black families to Black therapists. Today's therapist is Christopher Scott, also known as HipHop Social Worker. Hi, Christopher.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just, Friday.
Awesome. It is a lovely Friday, and we are so honored to have you here today.
Yeah, I am honored to be on the podcast. Thank you.
Let me give my audience a quick introduction to who you are, if that's okay.
Yes.
All right. Christopher Scott is an MSW and CSWA and a social worker from Portland, taking a journey to further his career and making an effort to change the platform of social work. Well, I know you, and I'm sure most of us know you as HipHop Social Worker.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have this awesome podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so basically, I had an idea to kind of make kind of social work my own thing. When I was when I was in grad school, I would see like these people come and speak to our classes, and people would know them. Like people, I love their work, and I was like, oh well, how can I get to that level? So and I was kind of stuck in a rut. I really didn't know what to do, so I really just found out what podcasts were around the time I started the podcast. So I started the podcast, and it took me a while to kind of get like what I was going to do with it. So like I would like do like little short episodes. I would give like mindfulness tips. I would have these things like I like to call like rants about trauma, racism, things like that. Stuff about my personal life as well. But when I got to the groove of it, I started, reaching out to different social workers or therapists in general, just to kind of see what their journey is like and what their work is like. Just to kind of see if we can build a community of people. And just try to spread the awareness of what social work is and in the different areas of social work that I try to explore. Because I know like at my grad school program, there was a lot of like focus on like therapy. Like everybody thinks social work thinking about CPS, and now it's thinking about like mental health. So, so I'm trying to really like expand a little bit. There's more than just those two lanes. Just really trying to make a voice in the community and help people share their platforms and things like that. Share tips that I find valuable. I share, because I feel like if I find it valuable, other people probably find it valuable. So kind of how
absolutely, yeah. Well, that's awesome, and you're correct. Well, I mean, I totally agree with you that like attracts like. So things that you're going through as a Black man, I mean, you might have a social work degree and background, but you're still a Black man.
That's true.
So, and we need you out here doing your thing. And even I'm a woman, but I've been drawn to your show as well, and I think it's awesome. So I'm just going to have everybody, when we're done with this, to please go look up, if you haven't already, HipHop Social Worker, and please follow this man because he's brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, today's topic, as you know, is going to be about Black men being vulnerable. And one of the things that I want to speak with you about in general is you're actually quite vulnerable on your show. You know, you're not like crying up there or anything.
Yeah.
But even if you did, that would be okay. Because we don't really see a lot of that, and it's hard to. Do you feel like it's a safe space for Black men to cry?
I feel like it's the time and place. I feel like there's still like kind of like, I feel like it's still not safe because you might have like 5 friends and like one might start crying, 3 might be okay with it, but if the 4th one is like tripping, then he'll kind of he'll kind of make the other like 3 like, oh yeah, man, you know, sorry, you soft or something like that. So I feel like it's just this like there's still stigma of us being tough, you know. But I feel like as we get older, that stigma shreds, you know, because you know, like me, I am pretty vulnerable on my podcast, but it took me a while to get there. Like when I was a teenager, I was very guarded just because you couldn't be soft or, you know, quote unquote soft. You couldn't show any emotion just because of where we come from, you know, like if you live in a place, you know, like where I grew up, I mean, it's Portland, but so it's not like super like hood, but it still had a hood, you know what I'm saying? And if you show any kind of vulnerability, it just made your days tough, you know, because people would just kind of joke on you or try to take advantage of you or things like that. So I feel like some of that old stigma still follows to like new generations, which I feel like in new generations, there's more spaces for us to be vulnerable, but we're not taking advantage of those spaces, you know, not quite yet, you know. So like I work at a juvenile correctional facility, and you know, a lot of the young men that I work with, you know, they're hurting, you know, they're depressed, they're stressed, but they don't ever want to tell you that, you know. It's like, so like I told one young man that like my goal for this unit is to like have like help you be comfortable just coming back to the office and just letting it all go, you know. So long story short, I really don't have like a solid answer, but I think like just like from generations of, you know, the man up culture is kind of like it trickles down, you know. It trickles down. I mean, even with like, you know, the Dwayne Wade thing where I mean, you know, he embraced his daughter, and there was backlash from that. You know, there's still people thinking like, you know, like you know, having negative things to say about that. Right. And I just think it all stems from, you know, the whole idea of what a Black man is. You got to be tough. You got to be strong. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't show no weakness, which I don't think being vulnerable is a weakness, but we still have some out there that think that. So
that's correct. Well, what I'm taking from, you know, from your actual response is that it's not that you don't want to cry or that you don't have the urges, but that you have to be cautious of society's impact. Like what does that mean for other people if they see me cry? Yeah.
So like you can be aggressive, but you can't but you can't cry. And sometimes, you know, like depression and anxiety and things like that, you know, like sometimes like the response is to cry or it is to be aggressive, but we would rather choose to be aggressive because, you know, that gets more of a, you know, kind of like leave me alone response, you know. So yes,
so that will go away. You could probably cry if you need to, but do it in private. Yeah. You know, I mean, just hearing you speak, man, I'm getting a flashback of probably about this summer. Gosh, I feel horrible because my stepdad, but he's been in my life over half of my life, lost his sister. God bless his heart. And we were on the phone, and I was just, I don't know at that time if she was deceased, but, you know, she had gone to hospice, and it was only a matter of time. Yeah. And I was just expressing, you know, I guess not my condolences yet, but saying that, you know, I'm sorry to hear the news or whatever. And when I tell you this 70-plus-year-old man, he'll never hear this. And that's funny because I'm even cautious of me sharing this, but he doesn't, you know, he doesn't do podcasts. But yeah, can I the way he cried, and it feels bad because, you know, you're schooling us now and letting us know it's not that you don't have the emotions, but it's that you're cautious of your community. But I guess when he was so overwhelmed with emotion, I honestly didn't know what to do. And I'm a therapist 15 years into this. And really, when I tell you, I had no clue. And it just, I don't know, it freaked me out. And my husband was there, thank God. And I had to call him to me and say, listen, you have to answer, take this call. And I know that's a poor way to respond. I absolutely am completely aware of what this is. But I didn't know what to do. I'd never seen it before, especially with him. And it was just weird. And here this man, all he was trying to do was express his emotions like everyone else.
Yeah, and I've had that happen before too. Like, like you just don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Or like recently I've experienced a few deaths in my family.
Sorry.
And thank you. And yeah, like even me being a therapist, I know that it's okay to like cry, but I still I still feel like I don't want to put that burden on someone else to like take care of me. So I was fighting back tears until I couldn't fight them back anymore. So yeah,
wow.
I definitely understand that, and because you are right. Like like one of my friends started crying in front of me right now about some stuff that I probably knew they was going through. I probably wouldn't know what to say. It's tough to be vulnerable, but it's like, and then sometimes it's like just having the presence of mind, just to letting them get it out. Just let them get it out, and don't rush to find the solution or find something to say.
I've said that up here before, right? We don't have to. Silence is okay. You don't have to say anything, especially when someone is experienced. I mean, it could be a loss of a loved one. It could be loss of a job. It could be loss of a relationship. It could be just loss right now, just feeling lost. People have emotions and they're entitled to it, and we shouldn't always feel like we should have an answer. And I will say a little bit in my defense, and I don't know if this makes it better or worse, but I had my daughter with me, and she, even though I want to teach her emotions as well, that it's a lot for a 4-year-old,
Yeah.
I had also recently lost my dad, and her teacher's mom died, and so this was, I was like, I don't want my baby to just think that's what the world
that's life
is about. Yeah. So it's a hard one. Yeah. I don't know. So you told us about, working with teenage boys who have emotional difficulties. What is something that you wish that they knew about, being vulnerable and even expressing that through crying if need be?
That is normal. That is like a normal emotion. I was talking to a young man last week, and he was telling me that, in this environment that we in, everybody's stressed. So like, I don't want to put that energy on another one of my friends, because he's stressed too. Like, why would I? It's selfish for me to start crying and start venting to my friends because he has his own problems. So, just kind of switching that mindset, to like being more trustworthy of people. Not of everybody, of course, but like, don't be so guarded. Yeah, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. It's okay to show emotion. You're not weak if you show emotion. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to always fight your way out of situations. It's just, life is long, and I feel like they don't see that, how long life is, because they're so young, and they're like they're kind of impulsive, and but no, like, life is long, and if you take the correct steps and and really just humanize yourself, then like, you might see better results. But a lot of the youth that I work with are just like are reactive to the system that they're in. Like if you have a kid on my unit, with the violent offender unit, they have a lot of like stigma that they're that they're dangerous kids. Then they also have you have 3 staff per shift. You have me, the counselor. You have the case coordinator. You have the unit manager. You have the PO. You have the lawyer. You have the court system. So they have like so many of these things that are attached to them. And it's like, if you could just kind of like break down and like just understand and just like feel that you're stressed, and just and quit trying to like be so tough and trying to be so like like, oh, I'm good. Just just say, no, I'm stressed. Like, I am stressed out right now. So and just have the ability to say that. I'm stressed. I do have a few kids that will do that. What I'm saying, but they're stressed. But they come into it and and it's coded with like, like, saying like, yeah, I'm stressed, or like, yeah, like, like I'm tired of this place, but I don't give a fuck no more. Like I'm about to fight everybody. But it's like, you ain't gotta go there. If you stress, say you stress. You know what I'm saying? We'll figure it out. But you ain't gotta come in here and act like, like I'm tough and I'm bad, and like no, like because it ain't helping nobody. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I wish they could just kind of like understand that it's okay to be stressed. You're in a stressful environment, and it's okay to just say, "Hey, I'm tired."
Yes, and it's absolutely so important. And what you're saying is what I'm hearing. It really is about the impact of your community and your surroundings. And feeling safe enough. So, how can we encourage Black families then to encourage our Black men to express their vulnerable side? Because, you're right. Like, if they're aggressive or something, we give them all types of labels and make them feel all kinds of bad about maybe yelling or, being emotionally detached. But when they're, trying to be vulnerable or trying to express their more emotional side, we don't embrace that. How can we do a better job of that? And I can imagine if we did that, then they wouldn't feel so much anger, because after a while, anybody who keeps absorbing anger and frustration, things like that, is going to explode. Yeah.
Really, it's such a disconnect in Oregon because, like, our kids want to connect with somebody that looks like them. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm the only person like in the facility, or one of the few people in the facility that looks like them. I might be the only Black therapist in the whole agency. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so I feel like if there was more staff that was able to like really like get down to their level and like understand their culture and things like that, then they might feel more comfortable. But right now, I feel like, like these young men are just, they're in survival mode right now. They're just surviving. So, so like, I really want to get to a place where, we have groups and they can come in the group and just kind of let it, let it all go and not be like, or not feel judged or anything like that. But, it takes time. But right now, I feel like they're all in survival mode. And, they're just trying to survive and not, get took advantage of. And, so.
Very good. Yeah, that is so true. One of the things you kind of touched on, and I know, I've heard you make references to on your podcast as well, is, we're doing something. As with any system, you have to operate within the confines of the system. And as we know, the social work field, the counseling field, the psychology field, all of that has been built primarily under the premises of white culture. And so then you have us kind of jump in there trying to see how we can, utilize that education and that training and that resource to empower our own people, making it culturally relevant and making it culturally sensitive. And the beautiful thing about like using this type of platform to do it is we don't have to have as many conversations, with them. Like we can connect with them just like we're connecting with our ideal audience as well. So what would you say to someone who really, because what I find is that, and I'm not trying to be racist or whatever, but what I find is you go into this field because you care, like you genuinely want to make a difference. So, when we think about things like racism, that's typically frowned upon, but it's really looked down upon in the counseling field because we're all about relationships and understanding human behavior and biases and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So sometimes that makes the racism that we see in the counseling and social work avenues even worse, right? Because now they really aren't racist because they're trained, they're therapists, they've done all this work. So how can you kind of speak to the need? Like, how do we address maybe a white therapist or social worker that might be listening to this and really want to know how to connect with the Black community, but might be having these underlying racist things that they're doing that makes that hard to do?
Yeah. So really take a step back and really see like, okay, how am I helping? Like, am I contributing to the system? Like, am I being too hard? You know what I'm saying? Because like I know like with a lot of whiteness, comes perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
So like on my unit, you know, so they have a tag system, and basically all the fun stuff happens when you're a high tag.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like you got to be perfect to get to the high tag. You know, whatever. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, just you know, just take a kind of a step back and like really like say, okay, how am I hurting this person, or how am I helping this person? You know, like am I am I, you know, like am I in tune, you know, with their culture and their needs? You know what I'm saying? Like do I understand that, you know, like, you know, their lifestyle might look different, you know what I'm saying? I know, you know, when I used to work in this program, and we had a well-to-do counselor who was well-to-do all her life, you know what I'm saying? And she would make comments about, you know, like these kids got too easy because, you know, whatever reason, you know, like they have to do homework, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, once a week, and they never did it. And she made a comment like, you know, when I was a kid, you know, like I had to do homework every night, and I was kind of like, well, when you were a kid, you also had horses,
right?
You know what I'm saying? So it's like so it's just different, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you got to really understand, like, you know what I'm saying, are you holding these kids to your standards of life, or to their standards of life?
Right?
Yeah, you know, just like if, you know, like if I worked with a trans client or a homosexual client, you know what I'm saying? Like I gotta understand like their struggle. You know what I'm saying? I gotta understand like what it's like to be in their shoes. I can't have like, you know, the straight heterosexual lens trying to work with them.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I mean, I really don't have like a complete answer for that.
No, I think you answered really well, and I'm gonna kind of summarize what I heard, because it's kind of something that I've been contemplating on in my head. So it sounds like basically you don't have to, you know, use like the N-word or whatever to be racist against Black people.
Yes.
And that's what people think a lot. Well, because I'm not lynching you, and because I'm not, you know, raping you and your daughters, means that I'm not racist. But
and that's what makes it hard these days, because you might have people that are like Trump supporters, right, but they're not racist.
They're not
because,
racist.
You know, because they don't, you know, because they see everybody as a human, and they see everybody as a person. But it's like, you know, but you like we're excluding my experience is low key racism. You know, because you're not acknowledging, you know what I'm saying, like that I show up different. You know, like, you know, no matter what, I'm showing up different. You know what I'm saying? You know, my skin is a warning sign to some. You know, and you are not acknowledging that. It's like, you know, it's like, I mean, you might as well call me the N-word. You know, right. I'd
rather you do it. You know, I've always said I'd rather be, you know who the KKK is than your normal, regular, everyday white person who doesn't see color. You know, that's a really big one for me, and I don't want to go too far off of this, but I do think this is important because we all need to hear this. And that is, you know, I had a really good, close, well, I thought, professional friend who was Caucasian. Okay, I'm not going to say she was a white girl, but, you know, I mean, we've been supporting each other. Well, I've mostly supported her because I was a contract therapist with her company, but she was making some business decisions that, you know, sometimes she needed to run it by someone. You know, I listened, and I, you know, supported her, and I gave her feedback. But not only that, we have kids about the same age. We both have husbands. We both are about the same age. We like the same things. And I mean, we've connected, we've laughed, we've cried, we've just really shared a lot of emotional stuff. But, you know, we actually terminated our friendship when I started this podcast, you know, and this type of work. And, you know, it just really kind of, I'm struggling with it, you know, I'll be honest with you, because she is someone, like I said, when you invest into someone emotionally, it is hard, you know, to deal with the termination of anything. And so the fact that her commitment to not seeing color and how insignificant color is to her, you know, our relationship couldn't withstand it. Because, you know, how am I going to support her business when she doesn't even believe in mine? Like, she doesn't even see the necessity of it existing. So anyway, I don't want to take us away from our Black men, but, you know, therapists of all colors, of all sexualities, I'm glad you mentioned that, of all religions, of all whatever type of thing can be used to oppress people, should really understand not only that oppression exists, but understand where their role is in that oppressive system and what that potentially means. And that's how you can be more effective in treating people who are different from yourself.
Definitely. Yeah, you got to just step back and understand that your life isn't their life.
Exactly.
You know, and if you're a counselor or a therapist, you probably had a little, you know, like you had a little more. You had a little more going on than the person.
And we got to admit that I've had, now that's a hard one for me. But I had to come to terms with that as well, because, you know, I always wanted to rely on the fact that I'm Black, you know, I'm female. I've had all these things, you know, that stand in my way. But when I really look at it, like, I'm a doctor, you know, I have a PhD, and this doesn't mean to sound like I'm arrogant or nothing like that. You know, I do not think I'm all that, okay? but I have to understand that financial class, that means something too. Like, that's going to separate me from girl in the projects who's probably as smart, if not smarter than I am, you know, with respect to how she's been able to assess her resources. So when I'm working with a client from that population, I need to understand that she has an extra stressor on her that I'm not going to say that I don't have, because then being Black with money carries a whole nother, you know, type of thing. But anyway, let's get back to Black men being vulnerable. How about that?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, where do you see Black men struggling the most around about being vulnerable, and what can they learn from that?
I feel like it's kind of a new thing, you know, like the mental health push is so new that you know, we're just getting to a place where we can kind of be open and honest, and like you know, like I feel like my answer is probably gonna be a little bit jaded, because a lot of the Black men that I like know professionally, you know, are therapists themselves. So like they, of course, they know that they can be vulnerable, you know, but to the average person, I feel like there's still like stigma around, you know, like, oh, you know, I still got to be tough. It's still like codes to being a man. So, but I feel like, but I feel like, you know, what we can learn from being vulnerable is that you don't have to carry you don't have to carry everything all day. You know, like you can be like, you can let some of that stuff go. You know, like it's not really, you know, it's not really helping us. You know, saying to carry a lot of, you know, the stress and anxiety that we have. You know, this is holding it up. You know, I feel like it's killing us. Honestly, you know, it is. You know, it's honestly. So I feel like you know, if just having a space where we can kind of let everything go and kind of like, you know, just kind of just put everything on the table is really like beneficial. I know there's a therapist that I connected with in Philadelphia, and he has a men's group on Sundays once every month, and it's just filled to the, you know, like it's just capacity, because, you know, I feel like men are looking for a space to do it, but it's like there's not a lot of spaces for us to kind of, you know, go and have these sessions. But but I do see a few more popping up, you know what I'm saying? So like it's good, and I kind of start one in Portland. I just really haven't had the time to sit down and, you know, and figure it out. But I mean, what we can learn is that, you know, like we're not in this world alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not in this fight alone. I feel like taught us that, like, you know, like I feel like, you know, me growing up, you know, what I was taught was like, you know, the Black man has it, you know, the worst, which I mean, that's debatable. I don't want to get into that, but I'm saying, but you know, but we don't have to feel that burden alone. You know, like, you know, we can lean on our friends. You know what I'm saying? And we can have these conversations. We don't have to always talking about women and going out and all that stuff. You know, so we can talk about, man, I'm stressed and I need somebody to just listen to me for a minute, you know. And, you know, not having that is harmful. So I honestly feel like being vulnerable just kind of, it just makes your life a little bit more, you know, worth living, you know, because you're not carrying, you know, because you're not carrying all that stress, all that burden, even all that weight. I mean, I feel like that kind of stuff is weight. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it is.
You know, like, so like this summer or last year, I got laid off from my job.
Yes, I heard that.
And I remember that was like, I was messed up. You know, I was tore up. And that took me, you know, saying some time to kind of like get, like, I had stages of that where I had to kind of like figure it out. But I say that to say, you know, like, I was trying to carry the burden of like match, you know, the salary of what I was making in the school district. So I had like 5 jobs. You know, I was hustling. I was contractor here, contractor there, working part-time here, working part-time there, you know, just kind of, and I remember one day I just sat down and I was like, you know what? I am not going to try to carry this burden of like being like the, you know, like the financial person in my marriage.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I'm gonna just, I'm going to take this job. It's going to pay a little bit less. And I'm also do a little bit of contracting, you know, 2 jobs, you know.
Right,
So and it's not really 2, like it's 1 job, but like, you know, the other contract stuff is pretty easy. So it's not like stressful. So I was like, I'm gonna just, you know, if I need help, I'm gonna just rely on my system to help me if I need it.
That's what it's there for.
You know, and man, when I let all those other jobs go, all that stress go, I really, it's been lovely, you know, like So yeah, but you know, me like holding up that, you know, like this, that, like all the, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, you know, I gotta be a man. That was, you know, that was killing me, you know. Like if my wife was able to see it, she was like, "Man, you are like you doing way too much," you know. And so I had to just kind of let it go and just, you know, just kind of open myself up, you know, to being vulnerable, you know. So
right. So you're absolutely right, and first of all, I want to thank you for that, because a lot of, you know, people who are listening to you, especially Black men, can be hearing you and don't even realize that that's what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And especially from a financial perspective, because I mean, let's be real. Like men, we are taught that men are supposed to provide. Yeah. So when you take that, and when that is compromised, I mean, that is like that's one of the worst things you can do. You know?
Yeah, for real.
And so and being sensitive to that. So when you add all the layers on top of it, which is, you know, Black men are supposed to provide, but a lot of our Black men, because of things out of their control or because of our systems and cultures, don't even get proper training so that they can provide. And then even if they do get a good job, you know, when they become like the president or the CEO, like if they get there, you know what I'm saying? Which chances are they probably won't, you know, because racism is real. Yeah. And then they get there, that they're going to have extra stress and still get paid less, and, you know, all these types of things. We're not really, you know, and then let alone, like I said, I started with their training, but even going to school, you know, like you said, oh boy, probably, you know, I don't want to be too stereotypical, but, you know, a lot of times you might have maybe one parent in the home, and that parent is responsible for 4 kids. Can't really take the time to invest in you and with your homework. So it's not that you, or especially if you're like the oldest, you might even be helping mom take care of the 3 smaller kids, you know, and it's just so many different levels. And so that will impact, you know, your propensity to be able to survive. And sometimes, you know, making that quick money on the street, which you've seen 20 of your friends do, is a lot more appealing than becoming the president of the United States. You know what I'm saying? Which you've only seen one Black man. You know, so it's a lot. And I know you didn't want to weigh on it too long, but I think we do get caught up in the comparison trap sometimes. Like we'll say, oh, well, it's harder to be a Black woman, or it's the hardest to be the Black man. The point is, I think that's even the system trying to make us think that way. You know what I'm saying? Because if I actually listened to you and heard how vulnerable you were, and if you listened to me and heard how vulnerable I was, we could actually have a really strong connection. You know, we can actually really start doing some great things in the communities, but we just don't, you know, a lot of times get the space to do that. It's more of a competition thing. We're thinking about, well, Black women have this, and Black men have this. And we don't think about, it both really sucks. You know what I mean? Christopher, where would you direct our Black men to look? Like if they're in a space, you know, they know they're not in a good space, making a lot of bad choices, dealing with some things that sometimes seem incredibly overwhelming, like racism, sexism, you know, socioeconomic status issues. What type of resources are available to them to tap into?
Well, I mean, I know a lot of social media resources. So like, there's this page called Black Men Heal that I follow on Instagram. Also, the Melanated Social Work. That page. They have a lot of like good things to say, and they have like you know, and you know, therefore, those are 4 Black male therapists that are like in different parts of the country. So,
right.
you know,
and it's free.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so like, really just, I mean, that's a hard question to answer because it really depends on where you're at. You know what I'm saying? I would like, you know, like what I would do really, like if you need a therapist and you want like a black one, I really would just start with Google and type in black therapist, you know what I'm saying? Or woman therapist or whatever therapist, you know what I'm saying? Just start on Google because Google, like, even though like it sounds like simple, like everybody would do it, but I mean, but also like, I mean, it doesn't, because a lot of people don't do it that way. So,
well, let me just plug this real quickly because I know I haven't even shared this with you. I've hardly shared it with anybody, but I am trying to get the word out now. We're actually starting a directory as well. So pretty soon, if you're a black therapist, just know, you know, it's here available. Come look on our website. But I'm going to start sending like invitations out to people, and you know, and this is official invitation, inviting you know, people to join as well. So yeah, because you know, it's important. Thank you. Yeah. It's important to let people know that we're here and we're available and we want to work with them.
Yeah, true. So, you know, and you gotta know that there's therapists out there that look like you, if that's what you want. You know, because some people don't care. Some people are like, hey, I'll see whoever wants to listen, and that's fine too.
Right.
But, you know what I'm saying?
You better be careful. They better be careful. I'm telling you, I have been seriously harmed. Like, I don't still want to spend 5 minutes explaining to you what locking my hair means. You know, why I have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, or
like, are you sure that was racism? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. You know? I want to bypass all of that. Yeah.
Because now you just traumatized me.
That's very traumatic. Very traumatic. So, and I don't see color one. So yeah. What are some myths though that we have in the black community around being vulnerable for black men?
That we don't like be affected by our mental health. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that our mental health doesn't affect us. Like, oh man, you know, we don't kill ourselves. No, we're too strong for that. You know, like that's one myth. We're too strong for a lot of stuff. It's like, I mean, it sounds good, but nah, sometimes when you gotta, you know, go through things, you go through things. And it's all right to not be strong enough to handle that and ask for help, you know, or that, you know what I'm saying, that we got to do it by ourselves. We can't lean on anybody to help, you know. So, you know, those are the two ones that that I'm trying to, you know, help break down. And, you know, especially the one that we're too strong for this or that. It's like, no, like suicide affects everybody. Depression affects everybody. All these anxiety, you know what I'm saying? There are a lot of people, you know, that are, that walk around anxiety every day and they don't know it, you know? So, you know, like I know, like, you know, like I talk to, like, you know, some young men that are in gangs and they say, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, they have this term, you know what I'm saying, like, I'm always on 10 toes. It's like, well, that sounds like anxiety to me.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're pretty anxious,
that sounds like anxiety to me. So, you know, so.
You broke it down to the clinical term. For what it is. Right. How would you say, you know, well, I want to go to that in a second, but I want a quick, just thinking about this, I was supervising some students who were coming into the counseling world, and they were at a school, and I remember, you know, one thing the school did was anytime there was a school shooting, and that's a whole other issue, but the school would kind of come together and they process and they talk about their mourning and just how difficult it was to know that these things were happening to their peers. And, you know, one of the things that the counselor I was supervising brought up was that she did have a really hard time connecting with the black boys. And that just broke my heart because I'm like, these are kids, you know, these are children. And I respect the therapist so much for bringing it to my attention, you know, because it's when you don't see color and you don't recognize it, that's when it's an issue. But she really did tell me, you know, how hard it was for her to confront her own biases because she thought this 8-year-old boy who was black, seeing, you know, an 8-year-old black boy cry was just so unfamiliar to her. Yeah,
but it's like, you know, we can't, you know, it's like, well, you know, then, well, why, you know, then why can't we, you know what I'm saying?
Why can't we?
You know, like, why is that, you know, like, why is that such a shock? Is, you know, yes, kudos to her, you know, because, you know, that is, and sometimes that's like you know, that's what we perpetuate. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, like, you know, I don't want to cry because I'm tough. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, some of that could be like, you know, like, I know my kids at work, you know, like a lot of staff are scared of him. And it's like, you know, if you didn't walk around here like so like on edge, like, you know, like they probably wouldn't be scared of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like a double-edged sword, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? They think they're scared of him because they're black. And they think, and they are scared of him, you know, because they're legitimately scared.
Right.
So it's like a double-edged sword. So like, you know, like, so I try to tell people, you know, like, you have to give a little to get a little. You know.
Love it. How do you think our history kind of affects the way we view black men being vulnerable? And by history, I'm talking about the institution of slavery.
I feel like it affects it because like when everybody else is stressed, you know what I'm saying, like the man couldn't be stressed, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like it was like everybody's kind of had this, you know, protector role, and a protector role is kind of like, you know, like they shut up and work type of shit. It's like, okay, like just go to work, don't show them weakness, you know, be the protector. But in reality, that really kind of put us in a box like, well, you know, we can't show any vulnerability to anyone. And also, like, you know, slave mentality is like jail mentality. You know, and I was telling you about what the kid said about, you know, about how he doesn't want to put that burden on his friend because his friend is stressed out too. Well, I can only imagine, like, back in slave days, like, if you know, you know, then you get the 5 minutes to talk to somebody, it's like, what you talking, like, why you telling me for? I'm going through the same shit. You know, I got the same problem. So it's just, you know, there's no like definite answer, but it does, it is complex.
Yes.
You know, and I feel like, you know, like the shut up and work mentality has trickled down from generations, you know.
Very good. Thank you for that. Thank you. I'm going to wrap it up. I just want to just ask you a quick question about a part of the show that's called What's Good. Is that okay for you?
Sure.
All right. What we do at this time is just give a hypothetical situation, and I want to get your expert feedback on this.
All right.
Okay. Meet Lawrence. Lawrence is a 22-year-old black man with 2 children. He is single, but has had several relationships with women that have not worked out. He has noticed a woman he wants to date, but states that he cannot see himself getting close to another woman with him feeling the way he feels. He wants to cry often, but he knows that men aren't supposed to cry, especially black men. But he continues to feel overwhelmed with sadness. How would you advise Lawrence?
I would advise Lawrence that what he's feeling is normal. I mean, but well, like, you know, wanting to cry is normal, and it's a normal emotion. And I would really try to figure out, you know what I'm saying, like, what has happened with these relationships that is blocking you from, you know, wanting to get close to another woman, you know, you know, and just really kind of like help build him up so he doesn't have to feel like he doesn't have to cry, you know, like it really explain, like, you know, you holding that in, it's probably like you holding that in is weighing on you, you know what I'm saying, like it's probably taking years off your life because,
Oh yeah,
you know, because it's balled up in you, you know what I'm saying, and when you let it go, I mean, crying is releasing.
Yes, it is.
Crying is releasing, and it's releasing whatever. It's releasing grief. It's releasing stress. It's releasing anxiety. It's releasing depression. It's releasing whatever you're feeling. You know, fear. It's releasing fear. So like, yeah, just, you know, like in black men cry. That is a myth that we do not cry. You have to. Yes. Everybody cries. You know. So yeah, I would just kind of, you know, try to humanize his experience. And,
Love
you know,
it.
because, you know, he's not a robot. So.
Right. Absolutely. I love your feedback, and I'm sure my listeners will too. So before I let you go, can you just tell them where they can find you?
You can go to www.hiphopsocialworker.com, and that has all my podcast videos that I've gotten into videos lately.
Love it.
Doing videos, contact information. I finally got like my first like public speaking gig later in this year. So,
good, awesome.
So you know, so hopefully that leads to more. You know, so
yes.
So, but you know, I got, you know, about stuff that I provide, a little bit about myself, things like that. So yeah, go to hiphopsocialworker.com. Awesome.
We can't overlook your Instagram page.
Yes, that is at HipHop Social Worker.
Love it. Love it. Well, it's been an honor today. I'm like so psyched that you came on. It's been a little bit of a journey, but you made it. And I just really am glad that you came on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good luck to you. I'm going to continue to follow you. Listeners, followers, please follow this man as well. He's got some great stuff going on.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks again for your time. Take care.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Black Marriage and Family Therapy Matters podcast, where we connect Black families to Black therapists. Since you've listened all the way through, come on in and join the family. If you haven't done so yet, please join our free community where we offer weekly trainings and monthly giveaways. We can be found on Facebook under the Black Marriage and Families Matter Facebook group. And since you're serious about joining our family, we also invite you to join our All In campaign, which signifies your commitment to go all in, not only for yourself, but in helping us reach more people by downloading this podcast wherever you are listening to it, leaving us a review, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. This really helps us reach more people and change more lives. After all, Dr. Martin Luther King once said, we can all get more done together than we can apart. With that said, I want to encourage you to share this episode with just 3 other people who you think might also benefit from our community and what we are offering, with the hopes that all of you can join our All In campaign. When you're done, simply click the link All In campaign in the bio and receive a free copy of my course entitled Goodbye Toxicity, which is valued at $297. This course will help you to work through some of the difficult experiences that arise in most of our relationships, and it's completely free to you with your commitment to join our All In campaign. We look forward to connecting with you every Monday and Wednesday. Thanks for listening.